Welcome to the Non-Standard Podcast. I'm your host, Manny Lamson, and what you're going to find in these episodes is just how to improve your quality of leadership just 1% at a time. We don't cover very extreme things because you'll find out that leadership is about consistency, doing the basic things great, and understanding people at the utmost ability to help them get to where they need to go. So I always have a guest on my show, and these guests are going to provide you with some of the basics that they lead by, some of the examples throughout their life, their story, and then also we cover my leadership philosophy in there as well that has helped guide me in becoming a leader as well. So again, the intent here is just for you to learn, and I hope you do. And if you do, you know what to do. Just save, share, like, or follow, anything you got to do to continue this journey. I look forward to doing more and more of these episodes. And with that being said, let's get on with today's episode. Here we go, one of the first of many follow-up episodes with those I've had on previous episodes. So Colomba was my first guest on the show. And so this is about 2 years in the making from when I first recorded with him. Obviously, we keep in contact and we work out all the time together. But what I want to go over in this episode is what he's been doing in the meantime. We also change it up, and he asked me tons of good leadership questions from an article he found. So we're still learning how these podcast episodes are going to go for the follow-ups. I do have a rough script where I ask them, hey, what book are you reading? What challenges have you come through? Who have you helped? What are you coming up to next? And then we just let it flow from there. So if there's any feedback you guys like, provide it at the end of this episode. But other than that, let's get on with the show, and I hope you guys learned something today. All right, everybody, welcome back. Just like you heard in the intro, I got my man Colomba here, and this is one of the first of what I call the follow-up episodes, where we still don't know where we're going with this episode. We were just talking before this, but the intent behind it is to just catch up with the people I've had on the show before so you guys can see or listen to what they've done since the last episode, what they've gone through. And then I could ask questions like following up with, what has your journey been like? What have you learned? What are you continuing to do? And then it also allows us to catch up as well because Colomba is now in Vegas, so we're not together anymore. We are separated officially. So it's a great time for us to catch up and just see how we're doing. But I got this from a good friend of mine, Teach Me to Fish podcast. He does this with one of his good buddies. And I feel like I learn something every time I listen to it. And I hope you guys do too. So Colomba, I'll just kick it over to you for now. Do you have anything crazy off the top of your head?
Locked and loaded, ready to go. Let's get right into it.
Cool. One of the questions, so like the way I did this, I sort of have a script. What have you been up to since we last recorded almost 2 years ago? So cage everybody in with maybe where you were when we did that episode, what you've learned since then, and where you are now.
2 years ago, I was getting into the recruiting environment. I was starting to get like the gist of it. But it's been a pretty eventful last 2 years because that was around the same time that I was like, all right, if I'm going to make this a thing, I got to go all in. So I did that. I had that conversation with the wife. Hey, like the career's hurting. I'm not in infantry world no more. So, I gotta excel out here. I gotta figure it out somehow. But that's going to take some support on your end. And she said, do what you got to do. And she was really supportive of it. As you know, I was gone a lot. In the last 2 years, I went to NCO, the quarter board, Audie Murphy board. I went to airborne school. I got accepted to 42 Tango, which is the new recruiting MOS. I went to a transition course for that. After that, I went to senior leaders course. I went to station commander course, got promoted, earned all the U.S. Army Recruiting Command awards. Like, I've been killing it the last 2 years, but it's been all gas, no brakes. It's just been locked in.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing I loved what you said is you said you were all in on this journey, right? And I don't know if it's what it's like on your guys' side, but in the Air Force world, there's like probably a tougher transition, and it's probably like that on your side when you're leaving your job to go do another job, especially like recruiting or something like that, where it's outside your scope, And so you had that opportunity to come to Abilene and then sort of decide, like, do I just like chill, and just like sit back and maybe be that normal recruiter that's, I don't know, meeting the men's and chilling, or like you said, you were around some great people. We started I think what helped all of us that were in that group is we all were motivating each other to go all in. And I think that's what was really cool to see is, like you said, you sort of looked at your spouse, just like I sort of looked at mine when I was doing 75 hard and all this stuff. And they were super supportive to be like, hey, dude, do it. Like, go all in. And you definitely did. Talk about what it was like going back or going to airborne school a little bit later in your career.
It was definitely interesting environment because first things first, right? Like most of the instructors are my peers, same rank, same experience, same time in service. So uh, it's just one of those things that you got to play the game. You know they're doing their job. As a E6, you still got to stay in the barracks with the junior enlisted. So I had a really good group of NCOs. 'Cause, like the barracks have the NCO side of the barracks, and then there's the Joe side of the barracks. So like we laid out the ground rules as soon as we got there. Like, hey guys, like we get it. This is it. We're all playing the game. Let's just get through it, right? So like instructor says, hey, start doing push-ups. Okay, Roger that. Sergeant Airborne, let's do it. Whatever. Like there's times that you got to check the box and just shut up and put in the work. So that was an interesting experience, and it was also good because like it gave me like it sparked the fire again. Every once in a while, you got to find something that makes you feel alive again, and that's definitely one of those. Uh, just being out there with regular guys that are on the line or ready to go to the line, because definitely a different change of pace, right? The early mornings, the late nights are a little different. You're not like finishing a package so he can go to MEPS tomorrow. You're waking up early so you can run to the airfield or run to the training grounds. So it's different, but same at the end of the day.
Nice. Going back to when we last recorded, one of the things we talked about was a book during that episode. Do you remember what book you brought to the table?
I do. It was On Your Day, On Your Life, Aubrey Marcus.
Nice. Can you talk about what you've learned or what you've implemented from that book since then, or if there's anything else you've read during then?
Yes. So, and I've also seen it a few other podcasts that came out. Everybody calls it different things. DJ Shipley, the famous Navy SEAL guy, calls it like his morning routine. And I'm pretty sure that like high performers or like people that are getting after it constantly, like we all have our own little ritual, right? So tends to be wake up, work out, get the blood flowing, get the gears going, get a good breakfast in, and then like own the day because like it's like you say all the time, those little wins stack up. And definitely if you by 9 a.m. when everybody's like waking up, groggy, walking into the office all mopey and slopey, and you're already at 100 miles an hour, like you're already at half of your day, and they're just starting. That's how you win.
Nice. Yeah, I was just on a ruck recently with you probably I don't know if you remember Eric, but he was asking me about my morning routine, and I always feel like very cautious to tell people my morning routine because it's insane.
Yours is pretty intense.
He literally looked at me. He literally looked at me after. He's like, dude, all I do is get up like 30 minutes before work, and I go to work, and I'm like, dude, I know, like that's what like 99% of the people do out there. But I was like, if you really want to win, and win the day, there is so much you can do in the morning. And I tell him, I was like, the reason I don't do a lot at night, and I told him, I was like, some people, their nighttime is their routine, right? Maybe that's when they read, maybe that's when they write their tasks out for the next day, maybe that's when they pray or do whatever they got to do. Like, obviously you can't with kids, man. It is like walking into a casino every night here. I don't know what I'm going to get. Is the dealer going to win? Is the house on fire? I don't know. And so I can't plan to read at night. Most of the time I fall in bed, fall asleep with my kids in their bed, and then I go to bed. It's like my morning routine is where I have to get everything done. And it starts super early. Like on the weekends, man, when it's like 11 o'clock, I'm like done for the day. I'm just like, I'm good.
Yeah. Ready for that afternoon nap.
Dude, for sure.
But it also gives you time to work on you. Uh, one thing that I learned from you is to take care of others, you got to take care of yourself, right? And if you take care of yourself early in the morning and all the BS that you got to take care of for you, it's already out of the way, then you can take care of everybody else. So,
Yeah, that's a huge thing. You definitely have more time for other people throughout the day when your day is like already full, right? Like when your cup is full. You're not sort of like balancing them both throughout the day where you're like going to work and you're trying, like some people like to show up to work and like, oh, I got to get my coffee before I do anything, or I got to do this before I do anything. Like we show up like, I'm ready to serve, like I'm
we've
good.
already been
My
there.
boxes are checked. Let's go and crush it. uh, what leadership challenges have you faced in the past 2 years?
Well, it's definitely been a transition, right? Because like going from like just one of the guys in a recruiting office to being like the guy running the show, it's definitely challenging because you're no longer working with like junior enlisted, right? To where like you say, hey, this is what we're gonna do, and you are gonna do it. Now it becomes a little more uh challenging because you got to know what makes people tick, right? You're working with NCOs. We've all been in the same amount of time. We all know how to toe the line, and we know how to do enough to stay out of trouble, right? So when you're working with NCOs, you got to figure that out, and everybody's different. So you can't just come in guns loaded. I'm the new sheriff in town, and here's what we're gonna do. Because everybody's gonna look at you and be like, "Okay, sure."
Yeah, so explain to people that transition from the recruiting station you had in Abilene to the one now you have in Vegas. Like, um, what's the step up like? What's that like?
So it's definitely a change of pace. Abilene's definitely a little rougher recruiting market. Um, just because like the area demographics, like it all comes into play, right? We had a 2 hour radius. We had schools 2 hours out that had like five seniors. Vegas is a really populated city. We have like five, six stations within like 20 minutes of each other. So that's gonna be a new challenge of like, hey, that's my territory. But definitely really lucky. Great team out here. The guys are awesome. The guys are solid. They're pretty self-reliant. There's a couple of new guys, so you gotta like show them the ropes. But for the most part, all the guys here are really independent, right? So you don't have to like babysit or micromanage too much, and they have a really like good team environment. So that's also a good thing that I'm trying to keep because it's really hard to build, but it's really easy to fuck up. So
That's that's a good one. I like that. One of the so obviously you don't know the questions I have scripted out for you, so I'm sort of just going to ask you them, and then we'll like adjust them if we have to. But for those listening, this is like it's like sort of a dry run, but it's live at the same time. Is there anyone you have helped throughout the past 2 years that you have an example of? Obviously, we talk a lot about leaders trying to help people along the way. So, what do you think you've done, or can you do in the future to keep implementing that type of leadership style?
so at work, it's definitely been the new guys. Because like it takes time to like master a skill, right? But when you
Mhm.
come in as the new guy, you don't have that confidence. So, for example, August came around. We had two new recruiters. You met one of them, Soren Santiago. Awesome
Yep.
dude.
Yeah,
Uh,
badass. Yeah, he's cool.
but reinforcing that confidence, like him and the other guy, they killed it. They had like six contracts in their first month on production, which is insane. Uh, like usually recruiting when I came into recruiting, you had 6 months. Last year it changed to had like 1 month, and then you were on mission. And these guys came in, they weren't even on mission yet, and they're already like pumping in contracts. So uh, it didn't take much work, other than like obviously you're gonna have a bunch of questions for like the paperwork stuff like that, and that's easy to take care of. But it was more of like reinforcing the confidence, like, dude, you got this, you killed it. Uh, let's say on the friends side, I made a couple of good friends at the 42 Tango School because, like, that first batch, none of us knew what we were getting ourselves into. It was like an experiment from the Army. So they obviously picked the guys that like had a pretty good track record.
Mhm.
And all those were volunteers, like, hey, I'll try it out. Let's see what's up. So when you have like that environment of people that are pursuing something new, obviously if they have a good track record, it's because they're high performance and they're all like-minded. It's like I tell everyone, like they're like, oh, so what did you learn when you went to school, in a like a cynical way? I'm like, honestly, I didn't learn much from the school. You know who I learned from? My peers, because these are the guys that are carrying the weight of the team. So I learned the most from them. Like, what are your TTPs? Like, hey, what do you put in your emails? Hey, how do you write your text messages? Hey, what's your like Instagram following? And like, I learned more from the group itself and made a lot of really good friends than I actually did at the course. But I don't know if it was intentional, but it was a good outcome.
That's a good thing for people to realize is as you go to places, and it can be any course, right? Any class or course or training, the relationships there are usually going to be some of the most learning you get. Like, and I'm pretty sure a lot of us who have been through those situations what you were probably saying. A lot of people are probably like, looking back, like, oh yeah, I remember that happened to me. When I went to this school, I met somebody there, and we were talking about this, and that's a good nugget right there for people to remember. Like, hey, some of these training courses we go to, it may not be the training course specifically that we're getting the most out of, but it's the people there from the other communities and organizations and detachments or whatever that you're learning from. Because, like you said, you have all the best of the best. So why not just become the best version now and put it all together so everybody's sort of running on that high tempo path?
So yeah, back to your original question before I went off the rails with that. There's a few of the guys out there that, like, for example, my roommate. You know me, the first thing I do when I wake up is I go to the gym. So I started dragging my roommate with me. And he had like okay, like decent PT scores. He wasn't like overweight or anything, but uh I think he was just like coasting in that like phase at that point. And I was like, hey man, let's get after it. So we did a little run with like the user XR major. And he was like, oh, I kind of like, I'm getting into it. And then we did another one. And then he got into it. He did a 5K like that first Saturday we were there with me. And then he ended up doing the Army 10 miler with me. And then last week he just did his first Norwegian foot march. And he's doing all this, but he also just got his second degree in engineering. So like I think that little fire that sparked was like what he needed to like jump back into the fire pit. Um and then on the I don't know, like the personal side, there's like not really much that you can do like at home, other than like set the example. Like if I want my kids to eat right, then I'm just instead of telling them to eat right, I'm just gonna eat right and just
Yeah,
hope that eventually like it sticks.
nice. How are they all settling in?
Uh, Definitely a change of pace. I'm trying to work on stranger danger type of thing because Alvin's like a
Yeah,
more tight knit community. Like, oh, I went to bed with like my doors in my car unlocked. Like, no big deal. It's definitely a little rough out here. So, I mean, we're still at the TLF, so they'll start school in January. We'll see how that goes. But the community seems pretty good. Where my office is at, it's a pretty good area. Um, so I don't have any complaints on that.
nice. Yeah, that can definitely be a little bit tougher. Obviously, like with kids that are just as social as we are, where it's like, hey, not everybody is like in Abilene, where you could probably just go say hi or like let's learn this aspect of life, the tough part.
Yeah. But hey, it's a good
um,
thing. They'll get to learn it.
yeah, no, that's true. One thing that happened since we last recorded, right, was the new Sec of War. So let's talk about what have you seen on your side of the house? I say like maybe Army big picture, but maybe close to your circle. How has that been foreseen? And we can talk about that discussion because obviously we both know fitness is a huge part of our life and it's changed a lot in what we do. And there's a reason we love it so much. But what have you seen on your side as that transition is taking place?
I've seen a lot more emphasis on getting back to the basics. Uh, there's a lot of policies that I know there's mixed emotions, mixed feelings about him. Um, but on my personal end of the deal, I believe that it was a necessary force. We're starting to slack on standards, where it's PT, where it's height and weight, where it's grooming standards. So it's nice. It's almost like reminiscing on the past to see that come back to life. The tough NCOs that are out there leading the charge, the officers leading from the front. Um, Restructuring, I mean, we'll see how that plays out, but all the basics were necessary. So I'm all in. I love it.
And what would you say to somebody who's, I don't know, like in that position where they think they don't need to exercise or just don't have to excel in those areas? How would you motivate someone like that? I don't even know if motivation's a word, but like, because motivate's a hard word for somebody that's not motivated. How would you change their mind?
How would I change their mind? Well, if it's in the Army, I love the new Sergeant Major of the Army's saying, PT is not the most important thing you'll do today, but it is the most important thing you'll do every day. Why? That's the first test. Can you
Yeah.
wake up? Can you get after it? Or are you just gonna go hide in the gym and pretend like you're working out? Because we all know at the end of the day, when we do it and we look at ourselves in the mirror, we know the feeling. We've all done it. Dang, I didn't push myself today. And that's setting the tone for the rest of the day. So, like we were talking about earlier, is that what you want? Okay. And that's something that I've had to work on too, because not everybody wants to win. Some just want to meet the standard. And I have to learn to be okay with that. I got to try to incentivize, motivate, whatever. But as long as the standards are not being slacked, then it is what it is. Eventually they'll find their way and they'll find that motivation. But we gotta enforce the standards. It's like I told the guys when I got here, like, hey, I felt my own best friend at height and weight before he went to basic leaders course, which is when you're getting promoted to E5. And like, why would you do? Hey, I didn't come up with the standards, right? Standards are set, they're clear. My job is to enforce them. If we don't have standards and we start relaxing on an inch on the waist, then it becomes a minute on the run. Then it becomes 30 minutes late at work. It's just going to snowball into the point where we were a year ago in the military, because it wasn't just an Army thing. This was a Department of War thing. So definitely getting back to the basics, and just leading by example. Okay, if you don't want to do, I'm still going to do it. You're going to see me do it every day. It happens like even at the schools I was at. If we're going on a run and like me and my buddy we're getting a little competitive, we're at the front of the pack and he's beating me and then I'm beating him. Overachiever. I'm sorry, bro. I'm not here to waste my time. If you're here to just check the box, that's fine with me. I'm not judging you. So there's no need to judge me because I'm trying. I'm actually trying. So it's one of those things that eventually they'll either stay in, get out, and that's going to be a difference between, is he going to be the next sergeant major of the Army, or is he going to be just another retired E6 that is living in the glory days? Because like nobody cares what you did yesterday. All the awards, all the schools, all the badges, that shit just goes on a wall, and then when you move, it goes in a box. Like nobody cares about that. It's what did you do today?
Yeah, there are a lot of good points that I'll emphasize there. And one of them was the standards are there, which is, it's good. And you even said it, you're like, I need people to still meet the standards, but then at the same time, you're like, I will always try to excel to show those people the right way. I can't get everybody to exceed the standards. It's very hard for those of us that do exceed the standards to get everybody to do it. Am I glad people are at least trying to meet the standard now? Yes. perfectly fine, I guess, right? It's a standard for a reason, so they can do it. But one of the things that's challenging
And
now
you should
is,
be, but you should be ashamed of yourself for just meeting the standard, because the standard is set to
yeah,
be the bare minimum. In order to have this job, this is the bare minimum you have to do. Okay, cool. You met the standard, bro. So that means you did the bare minimum. And a lot of people are like really emotional about it. We're like, you can't be upfront. You say that to most people and they get upset. They get hurt.
yeah.
Okay, cool, bro. You did the bare minimum. Don't criticize the guys that are going above and beyond. That's all I ask.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that sort of annoys me with people who only do the standards is how upset they get with those of us that do more than the standard. But then when we flip it on them and go, dude, you're only me, they get all offensive. It's like, yo, like you can't, like call a kettle black, when you're burnt to crisp. It doesn't work like that. And so that's the one thing that I'm super passionate about, and so are you. Is yes, you guys are doing the standard, but that's not what we want. And some people don't realize that those of us that are exceeding, we want those that are meeting the standards to come with us. We're not like telling them like, cool, like stay where you are. You make me look better. No, it's like, dude, I would rather have all of us working to exceed the standards. So it's like really difficult for leadership to say who's the best, like, is it easy sometimes for me to like exceed the standards when some people aren't? And then my leadership is like, hey, look, Snare's doing this, Snare's doing that. I'd rather have it be like, man, I don't know who to choose from because everybody is exceeding the standard. Because then all you do is raise it. And then it's just, you have that new level. You have that new baseline for everybody to continue towards. That's what people don't realize. When one person is meeting the standards, that spreads like wildfire and everywhere they go. And so I was just talking to somebody on a post that I did on TikTok, and he said it too. He's like, the military has just embraced the bare minimum, and it spreads so fast. And we're seeing this shift, of those that are trying to push people to get up there. And like that's all we can do is push. Like you can't drag a horse to water. Like I try to drag so many people with me to the gym. So many people. The gym is just the easiest place to exceed the standards. And that's just where it starts, and that's why you just got to keep going.
At work, I've realized that it's not so much about punishing, quote unquote, like the bare minimum, as much as rewarding the exceeding the standard, right? So, like for example,
Yeah.
our company just had a ACFT back in October, and one thing that I realized that we don't do on a normal basis is reward that highest ACFT score. If you go to any military school and you have the highest ACFT score, you immediately get the Iron Soldier Award. And I was like, yo, first one, I'm like, you got this guy over here. He just killed it. The dude crushed it. More than 90 in every event. Highest score in the company. Give him a 40 or something. Hey, you don't think that's going to help incentivize the other guys to be like, oh, dang, like, he gets a 40. Like, come on, let's reward like the positive things. Cause like we focus too much, and that might just be Army thing, on punishing the bad instead of rewarding the right. So
Yeah, I think also what I've seen people reward is we reward the bare minimum people for doing a little bit more.
no,
Instead
I'm
of
not
the
gonna give
people
you
who
a
do
hey,
more
great
all
job
the
for
time.
just doing your job.
Like you see a lot of awards get given to somebody that was like doing good in that one period of time, where it's like, oh, Johnny did really good this quarter. Let's give him a award. I'm like, well, Johnny's been doing shit the past 3 quarters, so it's easy for him to look good when he does good one quarter. Like that's where I get sort of annoyed with some of the award systems. Is like you provide somebody an award for doing like 2 things really good that quarter, and then
And
you're
that's how
like,
high
oh, he's
performance burn
phenomenal.
out.
Like, yeah, and then you're like, no, dude, he just sort of picked a quarter to do good in and decided to do 2 things good, but he does everything bare minimum. So it looks like he's doing better. And that's why I'm a huge component and believer of like quarterly awards need to keep being provided to the people who are always excelling, even though even because sometimes in some squadrons or things like that, they try to like split up the quarterly awards to give it to multiple people. And so they'll pick like different people and they'll go, oh, this guy won it last quarter. He can't win it this quarter. It's like, no, dude, like if he keeps doing better than everybody, he should keep getting that award or her.
That's a good point, because like that causes the high performer burnout, right? What happens
Mm-hmm.
when that guy that is constantly killing it, that just became the base level for him, right? And then he sees somebody who's not met the standard, and now they
Yeah.
met the bare minimum and they're getting rewarded.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, bro, but that's not how this works. Like, I don't care if it's the same person that wins it for 5 years. Everybody else
Hmm.
should step up. There's no reason to lower the standards because you're doing a little better. So we, as a whole, we got to work on that, and that's something
Yeah.
that's definitely being worked on at the Department of War level, which it's good, makes me
Yeah.
happy.
And I think what it also does when you keep awarding the person doing the most, everybody else raises their bar because they need to know. They start going like, man, do I really need to do what this guy's doing or this girl? So like it breeds competition at the lower level. People always think like if one person is working hard, everybody's going to give up. It doesn't work like that. People are just going to try to match that person's level. And so that one person is going to build the bare minimum. Like you said, if you give the award to the bare minimum person, everybody's going to go to that level because they're going to see that person get the award. And so you sort of, it's like a double edged sword with the awards. It's just, you got to give it to the best person because then everybody has to compete at that level. You said you had some questions randomly that you wanted to throw out?
Yeah. All right. So one thing I wanted to go over. I sent you that Friday
Oh yeah,
freebie
yeah.
NCOPD. I want to go over those real quick with you. So I'm gonna read it out, and I want to know what's your input about it.
Let me pull it up
So
too.
number one, life isn't fair. Get over it.
The note in here says failures will happen. Stop admiring the problem. I think the one thing I love about this is people need to realize when things don't go their way, you can't sulk on it. You have to like literally just like turn the page. And I heard it on a Teach Me to Fish podcast, and then obviously we've all went through those struggles or failures in life where, like the old me would have like sulked for like weeks, when something didn't happen to me. But the new, like, I guess, version, and my wife obviously has a lot to help in that area too, to like pull me back to reality is when something doesn't go my way, it's great to have somebody next to you to be like, hey, maybe it was supposed to be like that, or did you look at this? And then you can like flip that switch, to like move on with it. And so life is definitely not fair. And once you realize that, you sort of take it as it is because you learn from it. And this is why I love I don't love, but I love when you understand you will fail and there is a fear of when people have the fear of failure that cripples them
Yeah.
because their fear and anxiety leads them down a road of something that probably wasn't going to happen. So they're already like failing at before they even get there. But if you just go out and do it and you fail, it's really not that bad. You just get over it and you move on.
Yeah.
So that's
I'm
that one.
definitely guilty of that. So
Yeah.
that's one of the things that I'm trying to work on. Like, it didn't go my way, and like
Mhm.
things are gonna go wrong. Life's a circle. Like, it's a roller coaster. Like,
Yeah.
when things are going good, enjoy them. But eventually something's gonna come up. So you just got to deal with it and then get over it. All right. Number two, this life never gets easier. The challenges simply change.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be hard for people to realize where they may get comfortable in one area of their life, which was hard a while ago. And so they think they have to get like really good at it to where it's not hard anymore. But to grow, you have to understand you have to struggle. And I think I like the line that the challenges just change. And I think that's hard for people to do is change the challenge. It's just because you're so comfortable in doing good at one thing, like I take exercise for example, like I was really comfortable in lifting heavy weights. So the challenge for me wasn't lifting more weights, it was adding running or switching to running. A lot of people always say that on my Facebook or my TikTok when I make a video on like exercise is super important. And they're like, well, I don't want somebody who's good at the gym. I want somebody that's good at their job. And I'll be like, well, if that person is only good at their job, then they're not challenging themselves. They need to challenge themselves in other areas. And so that's probably the toughest thing for people to do is when they're complacent in their job because they think they're really good at it is switching gears.
All right. Number three, it is not about you. It's about the men and the mission. Be the leader you wish you had. Take care of our people. Being in a leadership billet isn't fucking easy. Being a leader takes effort. Do it for them.
Yeah. And then I just heard a good line that said, the lowest form of leadership is the position. Just like what yours says, it's not about being in the billet, right? Like that's the lowest form of leadership because everybody can be there. Like depending on your job, you could be filling a leadership role, but it doesn't mean you're a leader. And I think that's, I think a lot of people are going to think that one is difficult for us because we talk so much about taking care of ourselves. So like you said, to take care of yourselves helps you take care of people. When you take care of people, it takes care of the mission. So it's basically this like pyramid of effect. If I take care of myself at the bottom, that's the foundation. Then I say taking care of the people, and then that tiny tip of the spear is the mission. Like it all adds up to there. It's once you realize that, it almost makes it easy. Like that's why I love building relationships because I know the more relationships I have, the easier the mission is to get done. If I just try to do the mission first without the people, that's really hard because then I'm forcing people to do something without knowing them.
So I learned this phrase recently that ties in directly to that one. Take care of the men and the mission will take care of itself.
Mm. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Number 4, indecisiveness is a cancer. In the absence of orders, take initiative and lead.
Yeah, you have to be able to just make a decision. That's probably that's one of the simplest leadership traits, but it's really hard for people to do.
What was it? Patton, I think it was, when Operation Overlord, like the invasion of Normandy, good plan violently executed now is better than a perfect plan executed next week.
Yeah. Yeah. Or just like you only need like 6% of the solution to execute instead of waiting for 100%. All those like little lines. And I think that's why I love obviously being in the rated career side in the Air Force because we are taught at a young or early part in our career to make decisions in a stressful situation, and that's what I always stress to people when we talk about why are aviators always in control of the military in some of these jobs where they may not have led the most. It's because they can make decisions. It's a lot more in stressful situations, and they usually know the tactical side of the house a little bit more. That's probably my biggest delineation is between aviator leaders and then, like I say, non-rated, like those acquisition jobs where they've led their whole career, but they may not have had to make those difficult situations.
Number 5, neat. You've done cool things in the past. What have you done today?
And I think you already covered that one. That was perfect.
Number 6, if you come to me bitching, you better have some solutions as well.
Yes, that's probably my number one leadership trait to someone who's like in a followership role. It's like, hey, if you're going to be a good subordinate or somebody that wants to solve problems, come with a solution. And most leaders will let you do it. They're not going to stop you to come with a solution. They're most likely they'll know if it's going to work or not, but they won't tell you. Like a good leader will probably let you go do that solution, even if it's going to be difficult or you may fail, because then you're going to learn. It's probably hard for some leaders to see somebody with that solution and tell them to stop because it's not going to work instead of letting them go try to do it.
This one brings up like 3 different points for me. Because for one, you got to know when to lead and you got to learn when to follow. For me, I like being in charge a lot. So when I'm not in a leadership role, I've adjusted to like, all right, hey, I'm not the one running the show. So whatever comes down, that's what I'll take care of. Number 7, no excuses.
Yeah.
So no excuses. What do you got there?
Excuses just take time. They waste time. As long as you can just own up that you made a mistake and then just move on, it'll save you a lot of time. And I think it's funny because most people don't even care if you mess up. They're not going to remember it. So making excuses is just wasted breath. A lot of people think they have to make an excuse to like look better or make it seem like it wasn't that big of a deal. When in hindsight, like you said, nobody cares about the past. Did you mess up? Yes. Did it suck? Yes. But I guarantee you, if you were to go to that same person next day, they're not even going to remember that mistake if you bring it up. So like just saying an excuse is just wasted time. It's just like, dude, if you really want to continue, just like move on.
I remembered what I was going to say. And it was one thing that I used to find myself a lot doing, and I've tried to work on that. It's when I'm going to complain about something, not complaining down or like not showing it in front of the guys because you're the first person that they're looking to for the attitude they're gonna have about executing. So a lot of times, like I'll be like, "Yo, like, hey, first time, like, are we really doing this?" Like, seems kind of redundant. But when I go and pitch it to the guys, I'm not gonna go with that attitude
Yeah.
because if they don't see me have the buy-in, they're not gonna have the buy-in either. Oh, if Sean Colomba ain't too stoked about it, then why should I be? And that attitude, like attitude, is a force multiplier. It's like a cancer. It's gonna spread like wildfire. So that's what I was gonna say on that.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think that's why enthusiasm is so important when we do things that, like you said, we may not know if it's important or not, but we can't show that. Like man, if you flip that as being a parent, that's probably the hardest thing to do, right? As a parent, is like not show our frustration or like our attitude around our kids, and then they get upset at something, and you go, "Damn, you did exactly what I just did."
uh, 2 ears, one mouth. Number 8.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to get better at. Whenever I have a discussion with somebody, there's a couple good books I've read about this as well, and it's all about you don't always have to say something in a conversation. I think one of the best conversations you can have is where you, the person who initiated the conversation, to get something out of it, didn't say anything. If you have a goal in a conversation, then you shouldn't really say much. It should just be you asking a couple questions and letting that person talk. And so most of us are just like, obviously, just, hey, here's what I think, blah, 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 blah. But to help others lead, it does help to listen a lot.
All right. Number 9. Maintain professionalism and objectivity, and realize when you're losing either.
Yeah, I like how the line says clear judgment based on facts will make you a leader people want to work for. Oh, yeah. Reacting on emotion is not good. Emotions are fine, like it says, but making decisions based off emotions never really works. So I think that's why it says maintain that professionalism to know when to make the right decision. And the professionalism is sometimes thinking about the right decision, but not too long, right? We talked about indecisiveness, but sometimes when you think you have to make a decision to be quick and it's based off emotion, it's like a double-edged sword, right? To make a fast decision. That's why you have to understand the when you're sort of losing, too. Hey, either pass on the decision, say you don't know. Like that's probably one of the huge things you could do right there. If you're gonna make a decision based off of emotions, be like, dude, I don't know right now. Let me think about this. That's you saying to somebody politely, if I say something now, it's gonna be based off emotion. But if I tell you I don't know, let me think about this a little bit, calm down, and then I'll come back with an answer. That's probably a good professionalism part of it.
All right.
What do you
Number
think
10.
about reacting to emotions?
Oh, emotions. That's definitely one of the ones that I've tried working on the most, probably like the past year, 6 months. Uh, Obviously, like we said earlier, things are not always going to go our way. Um, so I've tried doing what you just said. I'll remove myself from the situation when I see it like emotions are getting heated. Like, all right, so let's take a break and we'll reassess the conversation later.
Yeah.
Number 10, someone will always shit on everything you do. They're typically everything you don't want to be. Seems pretty straightforward. You got anything on that one?
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, just kill them with kindness, man. I've dealt with that quite a bit, especially like obviously people know that on social media. You're always gonna get trolls and stuff like that. There's either like a couple ways you can handle it. You can either just like be super sarcastic or polite about it and just like do the same thing over and over again, and they realize it works. Sometimes those people are only going to do that because they see you going somewhere where they're not going, right? They're trying to derail your path so they can maybe get there on a shorter path. And then I think the kill them with kindness is another way to say, dude, just keep doing what you're doing. Like, just keep your pedal down, keep your blinders on, and just keep being you. Kindness is like a polite way to say it. For me, I'd be like, dude, just keep killing it. Like, if those people are complaining about how good you're doing, just ignore them. Like either give them the bird as you're running by, right? That's like my kindness. Or you could wave, whatever you want to do. But sometimes you have to show that the dog in you, right? Like I love bringing out the killer dog. You know, I talk a lot about this on some of the people I work out with. Some of the people I see crushing it is like you have to have that dog in you to like keep moving forward. Because there's always gonna be somebody trying to put a leash on you, man. You just gotta rip it off.
I like it. I like it because that one ties in directly with number 11. No one is above hard work or being corrected with vigor.
Yeah, I like that one line. It's just a, other times it's smoking the dog shit out of it.
But that's
Yeah,
one big thing because, like, we
yeah,
got, I guess, too politically correct or whatever you want to call it. And we forgot that, for example, I'm still in the NCO Corps. I'm still in the Army in the now renamed Department of War. Whether I'm in a recruiting office or I'm in the line with the boys, I still have a job to do and it's going to get done.
hmm
So, how are we going to do this? What do you got on that?
yeah. I think when it comes to just getting the job done, man, you have to start it. And if they're not gonna follow you, man, you just gotta leave them there. Like it's a big dog world, man. Like some people just want to all be like a tight knit community and all have fun and do good things, and they think that's how it's gonna win. But what we've seen is leaders at top, they're pretty ruthless. They they know what it's like to get there. They know it's hard, and they're trying to bring people with them, you know. And for those that don't want to get there, they're usually the ones that are just fine with the standard, like we talked about earlier. But there's a reason why the tip of the spear isn't broader than the bottom part, because there's not a lot of many people that are that sharp. It'd be nice to
Oof.
have a very large tip, right, so to speak, but there's a reason it's not, and that's why there's those sayings like be the tip of the spear, you know, like lead from the front. And iron sharpen irons is a great one. That's like another way to build the team is iron sharpens iron, but there's always going to be somebody in front leading the way. Um, and so yeah,
And then it ends out like every post they make, be an asset, not a liability. As you may have seen, I got that on my signature block on my email.
dude, that's one
Uh,
of my favorite lines, dude. I love that line. That's like one of the easiest ways I will tell somebody that doesn't like exercise because it's not part of their job. I'm like, then you're a liability. They're like, well, I'm good at my job. I'm like, I need an asset, not a liability, man. Like, I need somebody that's just like not going to crumble when it's tough or complain when it's hot or make excuses when they have to do something different. Like, yeah, it's an overall asset.
all right. So the next part I had after this was the questions, the quick trial. So I asked a question, and obviously you're going to elaborate on it afterwards. First question is, how has your leadership philosophy evolved in the last year?
Ooh, it's pretty point on, man. Like
Pretty consistent.
it's been pretty consistent. You know, I try to lead by example in everything I do. I try to be selfless before I can be, or selfish before I can be selfless. I think the relationships one is definitely it. So I think the last year the relationships one has bloomed the most because it's compounded, right? Like I was very selfish the first like 2 years of this journey, and now I'm seeing the results of it, and the results are relationships. And so that's what the past year has shown in my leadership philosophy. Like it takes time to like grow, like it's like a flower, right? Like the stem is the selfish part where it's growing, and then the leaves, and when it comes to fruit, then is like the relationship. So that's where I'm at now. I'm seeing all my hard work pay off in relationships of people doing good things, people going out there and crushing it, or leading to new jobs based off relationships. So that's what I've seen in that in the past year. My philosophy is the impact of me working on myself coming out of the people around me.
All right. So next question, and this one's going to tie off to like something that we spoke about earlier. When emotions are running high and the team's watching, how do you stay objective and keep clear judgment?
I think the biggest thing is to be honest. You know, you have to let them know, and I think that's why transparency is very important, because transparency can help people understand what's going on. Like if I'm super emotional, and I do get really emotional because I'm really passionate too, but I think people can delineate that when I'm very passionate and enthusiastic besides the emotions. So if I were ever in a situation where my emotions were taking control and I caught it, I could easily just be like, hey guys, dude, my mistake. Like that was definitely not me. That was me getting upset. Let's just backtrack a little bit. And sometimes being honest about it is going to help them resolve that. Or if you have a good team, they could easily just raise their hand and just be like, dude, Manny, like your emotions are going a little crazy right now. That's what I would love. I'd love if my team around me understood me pretty well to be like, red flag, snares based off emotions right now. Nobody listened to him.
No, that's a good thing.
um,
That's pretty awesome. Be honest. And what was the other one?
I think you just have to be honest and then be transparent with them that you're
Yeah,
having a hard
be
time.
honest, be transparent. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then off of the last book that you suggested me, and then I got from you right before I left Abilene, Kobe. Um, how have those habits played out for you uh, in your career?
So what have I done in the past 2 years? So this year we officially made Team Non-Standard and LLC. So that's been the big thing for my wife and I is how do we use that to our advantage, right? How do I set that up for my future? We're learning about how to prioritize getting the tax benefits from having a business. Like I had my first sponsorship in the Community for Schools Ruck, so I was able to see the business out there. I'm working with a media guy to do more business advertising for Team Non-Standard. I'm averaging the 25 episodes a year this year for the podcast. I'm looking to do another 25 next year, so that'll get me to 100 episodes. We're adding the follow-up parts to it. I'm moving into a new job this January. I'm moving up to the wing for the wing exercise planner, so that's a big leap for me to come outside of the operational squadron. But the reason I like
For
getting that job is
for
because
for for us non-aviators, elaborate that a little more, because
yeah,
I know what the
so
bomb wing is, and that's about it.
so the structure of an Air Force base, you have like the wing. I don't know what you call that at your level. Is that the battalion?
Yeah, because then you have the
And
squadrons,
then
right?
you have
And squadrons
so
are
yeah,
like the
you have your
company level
wings.
for us.
Yeah, so the wings, the ops groups, and then the squadrons. That's sort of how a base is ran. So I'm
Okay,
at
so
the
it's like a
ops
brigade
group
level.
level. Okay. So I'm at the squadron level now as an assistant director. But I'm moving up past the group to the wing to fill a wing level job that oversees all the exercises and planning for the base for the next 2 years. So everything that's
Nice.
coming onto the base, big picture, like deployments or anything like that, I will organize, pass to the leadership, and plan, and sort of like plan the big picture and then pass it off. So I'm really nervous, but I'm excited because I just met with my vice wing commander yesterday, and he gave me the reasoning why I got the job over other people that were higher ranked than me that probably could have taken it. But the OG commander and my vice wing commander know me personally and what I've done the past few years within the squadron and know my leadership style, know who I am, and how I've like turned my table around. And once they heard my name, they asked for me to take that spot because they know like I'm going to give it my all. So that's what I got going on next year, and I'm really excited because it's going to challenge me a lot more. I still have to maintain my flying. Obviously, Tara is still working her job, so we're balancing that. We're trying to plan more like personal vacations to give the kids those experiences traveling. Let's see, work, business, and then fitness wise, just trying to maintain those challenging events, looking at a couple high rocks, maybe trying to do the marathons, maybe try to do some more lifting competitions, and then building the clientele for Team Non-Standard is probably a big thing too. That was like the quick summary.
All right, it's good. Excited. Looking forward to seeing what comes next. This is gonna be
Yeah.
dude. I'm really excited. We're wrapping up this year. As you know, we both had a go 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 year. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this year like set us up for the next one. So like
Yeah.
we're not coming in next year. Oh, let me start working on this or let me
Mm-hmm.
start working on that. No, we started working on most of those things already. So now it's just bring it to the next level.
Yeah. And that's the thing that is great about starting. You just keep going. A lot of people always think like every year you have to start something new, but if you just have a thing established, you can just keep adding to it. Like you said, challenge, what we talk about, changing your challenge, right? Like that's what we're trying to do now. We have these habits already going, but now we're changing different areas or just keeping them moving forward. But you have to start. A lot of people just think they have to start something new every year to get results. Just keep doing what you're doing, and it'll just keep improving.
That's all I got for the questions.
All right. We'll wrap it up with what book are you still reading that book I gave you?
I started working on it. 75 Hard was done. I was in the middle of a PCS. So to be honest, I have not been reading for like the last 2 weeks. But
Can you remind
I'm
the
still
people
working on that.
what it's called?
The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Performers, something like that,
Yeah, I think
by
it's
Kobe.
7 Habits of I think it's Highly Effective Leaders, I think. But
Yes. Yeah, highly effective leaders.
yeah, the book I'm
And
reading is Leadership and Self-Deception. It's a pretty good book about, oh man, it's so I don't know, psychology words, but it's more about the leadership that we put ourselves in a bad situation and a good situation in short term. But pretty simple book. I'm reading it right now, and it's got some good tips. So
well, for my book recommendations, I am gonna throw out there. It's definitely gonna be the ones that I read while I was doing the 75 hard. Um, so The War on Warriors, Pete Hegseth. If you're in the military, if you like are in a leadership role, you should definitely read that book. It explains a lot on the backstory behind a lot of like the policies that are being in place, the why, and then being a recruiting environment, it's a sales market. So I read The Art of the Deal by our
nice.
president, so Donald J. Trump. It was a pretty interesting book. Uh, it's a weird read because he's not like giving you like, hey, these are the tips and tricks. He's giving you a story. This happened to me, like the whole scenario. And then after each thing that happens, like it ties into like how he handled it. So that was a pretty cool book because obviously like it ties into like current events. So those 2 books were pretty awesome to read.
Nice. I will add them to my list. All right, man. We are top of an hour. As they like to say, we can either land the plane or boat the dock, or I don't know what they say in the Army. Park the tank. I don't know.
Park the tank. I like that one. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. You have anything crazy to finish up with? I think we hit a lot of topics, man. Like even though it's like the first time we're doing this, so we're working out the kinks.
All right. Well, that's all I got.
All right. I will see you in a couple months, my man.
Looking forward to it. Let's go run the strip.
Hey, I'm down. Get us
Hey,
9 miles in.
I thought that was short. It is not.
It is not, dude. It is not short. It's long.
No. I walked there
It
with
is
the
a
wife
long.
and kids. It took an entire day, and by the time we
Did
were
you start
done,
from the leaving Vegas, to entering Vegas one? Yeah.
yeah, we started all the way down from Mandalay Bay and worked our way up towards like the Bellagio and the Venetian up there. But the
Yeah.
game plan was to like go up and then come back down. It took us a whole day to make it all the way up, and by the time we got to like the end, we were exhausted. So I was like, I'm just gonna get an Uber back to my car.
Nice.
But yeah, I'll see you in a couple months.
All right, man. Yeah. Just hang out for a little bit. We'll let it finish downloading. And then for everybody listening, thanks for joining. Thanks for hanging out. Do what you got to do. Save, share, like, follow. And I look forward to doing more of these episodes for everybody out there, and have a good day.